The World Tomorrow. The Worldwide Church of God presents
Hello there. Hello and greetings, everyone. Welcome to all of the apostate accomplices and sinful siblings. You are now watching Unpack It TV, the show where cult kids react to cult and religious propaganda. And today I'm welcoming my friend and fellow cult survivor, Justin Joseph, to this party. And there is a full interview with Justin on the channel called Jersey Boy Seeking Love and Liberty. So go ahead and watch that. He tells his whole story when he was a part of the Worldwide Church of God and some of the offshoots. So welcome, Justin. I'm so glad you could be here.
Likewise. This is going to be so much fun. I'm very much looking forward to this. I can't think of any other way I'd want to spend my Christmas this year.
Well, I am just thrilled that you could make it. So I'm here representing the West Coast, and Justin is out on the East Coast.
Yes.
And so hopefully we're making all the culty kids happy here. But like usually happens here on Unpack It TV, we will be watching some cult propaganda, but because it's Christmas and our cult was decidedly against Christmas in every possible way, we will be kazooing to some of the classic hymns from our time in the cult. Justin is very good at it. I can't wait for you all to hear the poise and grace with which he kazoos the hymns. So
you're putting a lot of pressure on me right now. Hopefully I don't.
No, you're good at it. You're good at it. It'll be fun. And as you may notice, when one of us is kazooing, the other one will be doing some conducting. It was a thing that was, I don't know, kind of ubiquitous across all the churches. What do you remember about the conducting they did?
So the funny thing is, I remember like my mother's husband actually, when we were in, I think, LCG, he actually got to do some song leading. And when he first got into it, he didn't realize that there were different times. So he ended up kind of like a deer in the headlights, you know, getting all nervous and like kind of like flubbing it. So it actually like he actually learned, hey, you know, I got to practice this a little bit first.
I mean, there was a method to it.
Initially didn't think he had to do, you know, but yeah. So you know, it was funny, like see him all of a sudden like get a time that he wasn't accustomed to, and he was kind of like Ralph Cramden, like hamina, like what do I do here? Yeah.
See, I never really realized they knew what they were doing. I just thought they were kind of up there being like, all right, we do this. We make U shapes with our arms.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of us thought until we actually like knew somebody who had to do it. And then we found out there was a little more behind it than there actually was.
Oh, so funny. So, I mean, I assume this was the same, but tell me if it was different in any of the churches you went to, that it had this really specific order of like, doing 3 hymns to start the services, and then was it the sermonette?
Yes.
Next? like
Yes.
a 15-minute sermon, and
Mhm.
then a song, and then what, announcements and special music, and then the sermon and
Yes.
more hymns, or one more
Mhm.
hymn, something
Yeah.
like that, right?
Yes.
It was so formulaic too, like almost a ritual, in fact, I felt like.
But since we got 2 hours to kill, this is going to be like a double service. So you're going to get like double the hymns, and you're going to get double the sleepiness and falling asleep really uncomfortable in your seat and all that.
Well, hopefully not that part. We got a kazoo louder if that's the case.
Those were probably like my biggest memories as a kid of like the high holy days where it was like a double service. And, you know, it's like, how many different ways can I get uncomfortable in my chair while I'm like dozing off? You know, that
Right, because it was always the like tan folding chairs that were like the chair of the 1970s, right?
So with us, like we used to meet oftentimes for high holy days in high schools or middle schools, and we used to meet in the auditoriums, and they would have like the cushy chairs. So you know,
Okay.
depending on sometimes the middle schools had the hard wooden chairs that still folded out that weren't so great, but more often than not, you know, we kind of made out like bandits in that department.
Oh my gosh, so funny. Oh, the WCG thing. So yeah, I guess that's, well, before we jump into all of that and we go full into our kazooing, I do want to take a moment to acknowledge that when we do this thing we call our human life, and we take yet another trip around the sun, it often comes with some events that are going to fill us with joy and hope for the future, but it often comes with losses and hard times. And so, Justin, I know that you lost your dad not too long ago. And, you know, I'll let you share what you want to share, but I know your time with him was somewhat limited and that it was really precious to you. And, you know, it's been a bit of a tough year for me. I've lost some things that were really special to me. So I want to propose that that we kazoo tonight in your dad's honor. And I just wondered if there's anything you wanted to say about that.
Sure. Well, you know, my dad lived a very, for the most part, for most of his life, a very hard, complicated life. You know, he had a lot of demons, and, you know, he wasn't always the easiest person to get along with. He could be a very difficult, frustrating person at times. But at his core, you know, he really did love his family, even if he didn't always know how to show it. And, you know, the last 7 or 8 years we had together were really good. We had a lot of good times, a lot of Christmases that we missed out on. And it was great to see him interact on Christmas with our son because in a way he was making up for, you know, what he lost with me when I was that age. So it was nice. It was nice to see. It was nice to have him, you know, have the holiday cheer and everything that he missed out on for so long.
Yeah. Well, I know when we did your interview, you got to talk about your reunion with your dad, and I found it really special that you did get to have that time with him. So I want this night to be a time that we get to hang out and have some joy, and we'll remember the good things and the bad things that life brought us this year, and look forward to the next one.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay. That sounds great. Let's see here. Well, you know, I was really not sure if I was going to do the romper bomper thing, but there's some people here that I kind of want to say hi to. So let me do a little romper bomper and welcome everybody. Don't know that I'll do it all night, but in true Apostate Sisters tradition, romper bomper, stomper boo, tell me, do. I see Kyle Wally in the chat. Hello. And hello, Hunter Biden's laptops. Good to see you, Jazz CC. And welcome to Hellbound Hillbilly. Lovely to see you. Hello there, Andrew Christofferson. And hello there, Sumami. And hello, Clairview 307. Lovely to see you. And hello, PC Pragmatic Crystal. Thank you for being here. And is that everybody? Oh, and Farron Salas. Hello there. Glad to have you here. Is that everybody? If I missed you, holler later.
And
All right.
just for the record, Jazz CC is my wife watching tonight.
Yay! And hello there, John D and OJ. I don't know how to say that. Well, it's John D, John backwards. Okay. Hi, glad to see you. And hello, Justin's wife. I'm so glad you could be here. I appreciate that you are here tonight. All right. Shall we kick things off by maybe doing one of the most classic, most cringe, most get stuck in your head hymn of all time, Justin?
Absolutely.
Okay, did we decide I'm going to do this one?
Yes.
Okay. I'll do my best.
I'll lead.
Okay. All right. You will conduct this hymn for us. Okay. Let's get this on up here so you all can see the sheet music and the song. All right. I don't think I got that all right, but you got the idea.
That's the gist of it. Oh.
So that was Holy Mighty Majesty. It's a classic.
Yes. It aged like milk. Just like the rest of them.
Oh, man. It was like such a reverent thing back in the day. And There was none of that arm waving that happens in the evangelical churches or anything. It was like,
no, we had to make fun of them for that. Everybody looked silly but us. Like that's how it was. All their silly rituals, but no, ours were totally.
Okay, so now that y'all have gotten just a little kazoo, so you know what you're in for tonight, I want to let everyone have a little more insight into this cult dynasty that Justin and I are exposing, that we were both a part of. So I have just a little slideshow for you. And Justin, please do add anything that you know about to this.
Sure.
So, all right. So the Worldwide Church of God was the origination of what is now this like broad spectrum of Church of God churches. And so there were some splinters that happened, I think, even as early as the 60s and 70s. But then around 92, 94, there were some doctrinal changes happening in the church, and it begat all of these splinter churches. Now, this is just a few of them. But Justin, which ones were you a part of after the Church of God?
So in 1995 was our last Feast of Tabernacles with the Worldwide Church of God. Right after we got back from the Feast of Tabernacles, we attended our first church service at Rod Meredith's Global Church of God. That was in 1995. And we were there for 3 years. And then in October of that year, there was a split in the church where the board of directors ousted Rod Meredith from the church. And what he did was he ended up starting his own group, the Living Church of God. And, my parents were loyal to Rod Meredith, so we followed him in. And from there, we were there for, I want to say, less than a year. Because evidently, as far as my parents were concerned, they were not, hardcore enough. And so they started getting into reading PCG literature. And, we had to, we couldn't just go to like PCG services like the rest of the groups. Like we had
PCG is Philadelphia.
Yes. And
so is that the third offshoot since Worldwide that you were at?
Yes. So third and final, because after a couple of years of that was the end for me. That was when I checked out in 2001 when I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because especially at that young of an age, you start getting disillusioned because you spent all these years in this one group, and your parents tell you, hey, these are the people who got it right. This is God's true church, and then everything goes to shit. And then we go to another group and said, yeah, hey, these people, they got it right. And then something goes wrong there. It's like, hey, these people, these are definitely the people who got it right. And then that goes to shit. And then it just repeats after a while. And after the third time, it's like, how many times am I supposed to keep falling for this crap over and over? I can't do it anymore. Yeah.
Totally. Oh my gosh, right? Well, and I think having done the channel for the last couple of years, the funniest thing to me has been seeing how all of the offshoots tried to just emulate what Worldwide had done. Because here on the left is, I think, on the left is the Worldwide logo, and this is Herbert W. Armstrong. And then he had the television show The World Tomorrow, which we've done a few of those on Packet TV. But you get over to the Living Church of God, and they've got Tomorrow's World. Yeah. I don't know. I laughed so hard when I realized they were just doing exactly the same shit.
And the funny thing was, so Tomorrow's World was actually a name of an old Worldwide Church of God magazine, which is the whole Rod Meredith connection. Because he used to write articles for that magazine as well, Tomorrow's World magazine. So it was all borrowed. But in the Global Church of God before that, it was the World Ahead. So it was always kind of like a mangling. It's like Marge Simpson mangling the same Chanel dress over and over to make it look different. It was kind of that. There was a lot of that.
Oh my gosh, I know. It's like they thought somehow that was gonna be the thing that made it work, right? Like doing all the same things would make all the millions flock to him. Oh, not millions, but tens of thousands flock like they did to Herbert W. Armstrong.
Yeah, and Rod Meredith had the inside advantage because he was. I always say he was one of Herbert Armstrong's like capos. He was one of his right hand men. He was like Clemenza to Don Corleone. He was really like one of the OG young ambassadors. So he was the one who tended to really attract more of like the old school COGers right after the split had occurred, like right after the change.
Right. Was because that was the one. Was it Philadelphia that was like, we're the ones upholding the true teachings of Mr. Armstrong?
Yeah. And the funny thing was, and I think the reason my mother, I can't speak for anybody else, but she didn't initially take Gerald Flurry seriously because she had never heard of him before. She knew who Rod Meredith was. She was very familiar with him and the McNairs and all of those people. And she and the funny thing is, in our interview that we did, I was talking about how like PCG was like really like the first splinter group, and it didn't occur to me to consider CGI with Garner Ted Armstrong because he had done it I think long before anybody. And the reason for that is because in the COG, what do I call it, Spider-Verse, metaphorically speaking, Garner Ted was kind of like the Lucifer of the COGs, where he rebelled against the father, and he was outcast, and he started his own thing. So when I
just bust in there to say that Garner Ted was gone before we were born.
Yes,
and he every mention of him, as far as I can look, was removed from the church at that time. And the scandals of him, having slept with hundreds of women at the college and stuff was going around. It was bad. I mean, he really took advantage of his position.
Yep. Yeah. And so as a result of that, thinking back to like splinter groups as options, all these decades later, I didn't even think to consider that a viable option as a splinter group, because we were so conditioned to believe that he was the real life Lucifer, he was demonic, and we couldn't it wasn't an option. So
Well,
it's so
yeah.
funny. It's so funny how conditioned all these decades later, like you're still kind of conditioned that it doesn't register with you to say, hey, that could have been an option too.
Right. For me, I think that conditioning was at some point I was like, okay, I don't believe in this anymore, and I don't really believe in this, and the evangelical stuff doesn't seem like any, I'm seeing the cracks in that too, and I'm like, oh, I can just not believe in that. I can believe in nothing like that.
Yeah, that's how it happened. That's how it happened for me. The more I read and the more I tried to believe I was reading, what I was reading is like, yeah, this is all bullshit. I can't bring myself to believe any of this.
No, and I mean, we talked about this a little bit, and I know we're really going off here, but like, it felt to me like the fact that the church promised the world tomorrow kind of messed with me in the sense that I still have this thing of like thinking eventually there's going to be some thing that makes all the good happen and the world will be a perfect place. And, it's like, nope. If that's what we want, that probably perfect doesn't exist. But if we want a better world, we've got to be the one to do it.
Yeah. Well, looking at it now through adult eyes, everything that I was taught, I personally, like, I find the thought of us all living in one great big, like, celestial North Korea, where all we get to do is praise the dear leader from dawn till dusk, where we all have to think alike and act alike and look alike, and like, why would I want to spend eternity living like that? I don't know.
No, that sounds like going to hell.
What's the incentive? What's the appeal of being subservient to this God? And just devoting all of making it your entire personality and everything, so you could get to be a slave for all eternity to him. Like, what? Why am I working? Why am I striving for that? I don't know. Just seems weird to me.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's a very good place we both got. a little more living in reality. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
I concur.
Well, so that's a little bit about the church. Oh, you know what? I did see someone. Romper bumper stomper boo. Tell me do. Hello there, Yosemite on my mind. I'm glad you could be here tonight. Nice to see ya. Okay, see, I can't stop myself. Once I start doing the romper bumper, I'm just going to keep doing it. Damn it.
That's probably what a lot of people come for in the first place. It's great.
You know what? It's because everyone wants to be seen and acknowledged. Like that's one of our human emotional needs. And I feel like that's really important. And this, when we do a live, like I could just put out a video, but that's not nearly as fun as having people here and getting to be a part of the action. So if you're brave enough to put your comments in the chat, I'll be brave enough to say your name and thank you for being here, because I really do appreciate every one of you. Okay, well, I want to show one more thing here, and then I think we need to do a little more kazooing.
Yes.
So I wanted to also show the history of hymnals of the Worldwide Church of God. Now, this doesn't include offshoots because there would be a million of them. But this gray hymnal here was from the early church. Now, I don't know when they started it, but the church itself did start in the 30s, assuming it wasn't quite that early. But then by 1974, so that's 5 years before I came into this earth, they switched to this purple Bible hymnal. And this is the only one I remember. And I was in the church till 97. However, this blue one came out in 93. And I don't actually feel like I remember it. Okay, well, proof positive. Thanks for that.
Yeah. So we got to. If it weren't for Patty's romper room, I wouldn't have shown. See, I was right. See, I take credit for that. And
then Justin, you were telling me that there was another one of this newest hymnal, but for like personal use.
Yes. So the way the new hymnals worked was like the blue hymnals were for general use that were put out on the seats prior to a service. You could also order your own personal hymnal, and those ones were brown to differentiate from the ones that were put in for general use. Just for the record, as splinter groups go, I can't speak for all of them, but for the ones that I was in, we all used the purple one. It was pretty universal throughout the splinter.
Really? Okay.
They didn't even try to put their own cover on it or anything. They were all just Worldwide Church of God, purple hymnals. They didn't, they were all recycled.
Yeah.
So
Right. And I don't know how much was different other than I think they added to it each time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. With the third hymnal, with the 93 hymnal, they actually added, I think, like 173 songs to it. So there were 301 songs total. One of the more interesting additions to it that I remember was that they actually added Morning Has Broken to it by Cat Stevens, which my mother loved because she loved Cat Stevens back in the 70s.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how popular he would be nowadays as Yusuf Islam among COG circles, but
I had no idea of all of that context.
Maybe they skipped that one now. Who knows?
But that song, I distinctly remember being in children's choir, and that was the song we sang. So that must have been a thing before they decided to add it to the hymnal.
See, you were lucky. When I was in children's choir for the feast, we didn't get to sing anything that cool. Like we all had to sing like table of contents for the Bible, all the books of the Bible.
Oh,
and we had to sing like about the world tomorrow to calypso beats. And like looking back on it now, it's like none of it was good.
we did the Bible songs or the books of the Bible: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers. You're welcome. But then the Cat Stevens song was "Morning Has Broken like the first morning."
Yep.
That I fucking loved singing that. God, that was so fun.
Yeah, I missed out on that one because back when I was a teenager, like it wasn't cool to like sing along with the hymn, so I just stood there like.
Yeah. Yes, I was probably 8 in the children's choir, so it was still. Oh, and I was 4 at the Feast of Tabernacles, and we were in Florida, I think. Some dude behind us gave me stickers because I was singing so loud. I was so proud of myself back then. And we have a comment here. Andrew says, well, aren't all Bibles just recycled fairy tales anyway? I would concur, my friend. I would concur.
Yeah, no argument here.
Yeah. And oh my goodness. Woo. We have a new member. Hello, Infidel. Thank you for becoming a member. That's so fun. Appreciate ya.
Awesome.
Yeah, welcome. Yay. Well, now that you're a member, you have access to all the fun emojis, so don't hold back. Feel free to use them. Well, let's see. Justin, what do you think? Should we kazoo a little more?
Sure, why not?
Well, why not?
So I can take the next one if you.
Oh yes, this is all you right here.
Okay.
Okay.
So this was the first page in the new hymnal in the hymnal, page number 1. In the 93 hymnal was page 23.
Okay.
But I remember this one very well because my mother, for some reason, just didn't like it. She never explained why. But so here it goes. Blessed and happy is the man.
And we stop with reverence. Yes. Thank you, Justin. Oh my god.
Gotta make these songs fun somehow.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. We are reclaiming the bullshit we were put through as kids. That's right. All right, let's see here. Let's do one more here. Why do the nations make plans in vain? Yeah, do tell.
Yeah, so this one was a PCG staple, particularly during High Holy Days. So in COG land, during High Holy Days, they usually like had a set of hymns specifically that they would put aside, I think, for Holy Days. And this in PCG, this was a kind of a staple. because it has a very authoritarian tone. So because like the first line of it is, "Why do the nations make plans in vain against the one anointed, saying to us, strip off all his cords, tear his plan to sight." It's all about like the chosen one being an authority, and like nobody can topple him, because he's God's chosen, and it's futile to try to like topple him and all that shit. So and you hear it in the melody of the song. So yes, so this is "Why do the nations make plans in vain?" So this was, I think, page 2 in the hymnal, if I recall.
Thank you so much. I feel so edified, I would have to say. And let's see here. We're going to do a romper, bumper, stomper, boo. Tell me, do. I'll say thanks and welcome and hello to Infidel. And also, I would like to say hello to, I just saw you, the Mormon Atheist. Welcome and thanks for being here in the chat. Okay, let's see. Shall we start watching this show, this cult propaganda?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so this is going to be a fun one because this is from, let me see here. Let's switch it back to this one. Okay, so this is the hidden meaning of Christmas, but the thumbnail says Christmas is dirty little secret. So as we said, the cult and all of the Church of God network, Spider Network, they are all very against modern day Christmas and all the paganness of it, that as they see it anyway. So we're going to get to hear some of that by them. All right, and let me see. Holler if this is too loud or too soft.
Christmas morning. It's the highlight of the year for many children in the Western world. They leap out of bed to discover what Santa...
What's that?
I'm already bored. This man is like a human. Just to set this up, like Rod McNair.
Oh, good. Yeah.
He's like a human wet blanket. Like that will you'll see when this plays, like as time goes on. Like he is just like, I don't know how anybody like stayed awake listening to this man. I don't get it.
It's the worst title ever.
Yeah.
It's funny. Okay. All right. Let's see what they have to say about Christmas.
Santa brought them this year. They bound down the stairs, eager with anticipation, imagining what new toys may be awaiting them. And then they see them. Under the Christmas tree, there they are, neatly stacked presents covered in red and green wrapping, awaiting the children's discovery of what's inside. What could be more exciting than this yearly Christmas ritual? Everyone loves a surprise, and children all over the Western world look forward to the thrilling moment on Christmas Day, the long-awaited instant when the presents are opened. But does the Christmas present opening ceremony live up to its billing? Do the presents really...
The segue. The segue into black and white for the doom, the impending doom that's coming.
But are the presents really good? Does it live up to the hype, or is it just capitalist bullshit? Actually, they didn't say that. I wish they would have.
They're not cool enough to...
No. Romper, bumper, stomper, boo. Tell me, do. I see tons of mice in the chat. Hello there. It's nice to see you. Thanks for being here. All right. Let's see where this present giving takes a dark turn, huh?
Fulfill the wishes and dreams of those boys and girls? Or after a few minutes or hours of playing with a new game or doll, does the newness wear off? Or is the disappointment immediate? when an expected electronic game turns.
Wait, what is going on with the captions on this? It's not what they're saying. It's like an entirely other message.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Did they just put that in the actual video?
Yeah, I'm sure they did. Wouldn't surprise me,
Wow. Okay.
But interestingly enough, what he's describing is pretty much how I felt, growing up in the COGs, always hearing the end's coming soon. Just you wait, and then it never comes. And you just get so bored, just like waiting for it, and it's like, I don't think anybody like offered more empty promises than the COGs, to be honest with you.
Right. Oh, God's gonna take us away to Petra, the place of safety. Did you get that thing where every time something real bad happened in the world that you heard like, 3.5 years, because they thought that would be like when we'd get plucked?
In our house, it was like every year, like at the anniversary of Armstrong's death, we would wait to see if something meaningful happened.
Really?
Yeah.
You're not the first person I've heard that made a big deal of Armstrong's death.
Yeah.
Like, we interviewed somebody that sat like by his literal graveside waiting for him to rise one time. What the fuck? Like, oh.
And the funny thing is, Armstrong would have made fun of him for that if he was alive.
Yeah,
like, would have mocked
that's
him.
probably true. Yeah. Except Armstrong also said that all of this would happen in his lifetime because he was the prophet guy, Oh my gosh. Okay, let's get a little more of this.
Turns out to be pens or pencils. Sadly, all too often, the anticipation of a gift is greater than the real thing. But think about it, though. Isn't Christmas in general sort of like a disappointment?
What?
I say, look how bored and disappointed they are. Oh my God. It just makes you want to give up on Christmas as a whole. I've given my son presents over the years that he got bored with right away, and not once did I say, "Oh, fuck all of it. We're never doing this again."
Seriously. Exactly. Well, romper bumper stomper boo. Tell me do. Hello there, Goro Mako 514. It is very nice to have you here. Welcome. I know, exactly. Like, you can't get them all exactly right, but oh my gosh, when you give someone a present that you know they'll love and they're so excited to have it, it's like the best feeling in the world to know how happy you made them. Like, even as a kid, I could never understand why it was such a bad thing to give gifts, Yeah.
Well, because it's less money to give to the church.
I think we're fooling ourselves if we don't think that is the exact reason that they provided.
Yeah, same reason we couldn't go to doctors and get the medicine we needed, even though Herbie could see all the doctors he wanted to keep his Skeletor ass alive until he was 93 years old.
His Skeletor ass. Oh my gosh. Justin, too funny. Okay. All right, let's find out more about disappointing gifts.
Pointing gift. It's bright, it's colorful, attractive, and beckoning. But when you open it up, what's inside? Is it what you had hoped for? Let's answer that question today on Tomorrow's World.
Is this Wet Blanket Guy?
Yep.
Okay.
Friggin' name.
Yep.
The name McNair. McNair. It's like so synonymous with like COG land. And the funny thing is, like if you like Google this shit, like there's no definitive proof, they say, that like all the McNairs were related. It was just like, there were evidently different factions of McNairs in the COGs. They weren't necessarily related. I don't know.
Does that have anything to do with how Gerald Fleury tried to say that all the God's preference was on the Irish people because he was Irish? Is this another the Irish thing happening with the McNair? I don't know. Is that right?
Yeah, I have no idea.
they all found some way to say that the true lineage of God's chosen was clearly their particular version of white English speaker, which what the fuck?
Funny thing with the McNairs is after when GCG split and Rod Meredith started the LCG, he actually Carl McNair went with him, and then Raymond McNair who was like also one of Rod Meredith's right-hand people in Global Church, actually like stayed with GCG. So, there was kind of like a family fracture, within that split.
Oh my gosh. All for the tithe money. All for the tithe money.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow. Okay. All right. Let's see what Rod McNair Wet Blanket has to say.
As we unpack the truth about this popular holiday. Welcome to Tomorrow's World, where we help you make sense of your world through the pages of the Bible. Christmas is one of the most anticipated holidays of the Western world. For many, it's a joyous time, and it's especially fun for children. Millions of boys and girls arise Christmas morning gleefully expecting to find gifts under the Christmas tree. One of the most popular parts of Christmas is gift giving. Everybody likes a present, and maybe that's what makes Christmas so popular with children. But just like children can be disheartened when they get socks or a sweater instead of the latest electronic game or a new puppy, Christmas is filled with unpleasant surprises for adults too. Some are quite shocking. Let's talk about some Christmas surprises in our program today. The first one is, number one, Christmas isn't Christian at all. Christmas is supposed to be the celebration of the birth of Christ.
Do you have something to say?
Is that supposed to like deter me? Like, it's not Christian at all? All right, sign me up.
I know. It was that the baddie. It was pagan, right? That's all they ever said. It was pagan.
And yet it's made up,
which it was, truly. But I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Of many customs that have their roots in ancient pagan traditions. As author Desmond Morris wrote in his book Christmas Watching, hardly anything we do during the Christmas festivities has the slightest connection with Christianity, let alone with the arrival of the infant Jesus. Simply put, the earliest Christians did not observe Christmas. This is a fact recognized by all reputable sources. Even those who observe this holiday with great fervor recognize this fact.
I mean, I don't disagree with that.
No. Neither do I.
I'd say that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it? Most of the stuff we do now that we call our Christmas traditions is like originated in the 1800s, I think, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I mean, that's the interesting thing about this stuff is you can look it up and be like, oh, well, they're telling the truth. So they must be telling the truth about everything they say.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, like, when I was a kid and I would, in school and other kids would ask me why I didn't celebrate Christmas, I would give explanations like that. And it was like, all right, fine, but even if it is all paid, like, who cares?
Right.
I still like it. Like, what's wrong with that? I don't care.
No, lights are pretty.
Yeah.
People get together and have good food. Like we should have reasons to celebrate. I think what is it, after the plague in Europe, there was a rise of people celebrating, like coming up with holidays and reasons to celebrate, because that whole tragedy happening meant that the poor people actually had some power in the world. And the first thing they did was create celebrations together. And so there is something very beautiful and human about celebration. And I felt like the church kind of messed with that. It's like the Feast of Tabernacles felt a kind of celebratory, but otherwise none of that really
and that's the, and that's the thing, he was touching on the beginning of this telecast about how disappointing it was, how disappointing, when you don't get the gift you want, or you get tired of a gift right away, and there's a sadness after the initial excitement. To me, that's like the perfect explanation for the Feast of Tabernacles, because you had fun getting away from your life for about a week or so, and then at the end you were all sad and depressed that it was all over. They actually used to call it the post-feast blues. And I remember, like, my mother would be on the phone with her church friends talking about, oh yeah, I'm dealing with the post-feast blues, and so it's like, So every accusation is a confession. It's just
Right.
They promise you, this is a little taste of what the world tomorrow is going to be like, and they take it away from you, and you're all depressed that you have to go back to your regular life. In today's world that's so terrible and depressing and so forth.
But they knew that too, and that's what they used to exploit it, right? Of like, ooh, you got to be worried about this really bad thing. Ooh, you got to be excited about the dopamine rush of this good thing happening. I mean, so they like made you ride that roller coaster, and that's how they kept you sending all of your money in. Which I will mention, if you're not familiar with this church, they had a system of 3 tithes. So the first 10% you just sent to the church. Second 10%. What was that? You set aside for your...
You put it aside for the Feast of Tabernacles.
Mm-hmm. And so the idea was you would go to this Feast of Tabernacles and live incredibly luxuriously, just like we'll live in the world tomorrow, and we go out to restaurants all the time.
Which you used to do, because we used to go to Virginia Beach a lot for the Feast of Tabernacles, and we used to rent beach houses. And otherwise, we never would have been able to do stuff like that.
Right. But then I know that there were families that didn't have enough money to save that 10%. And so they'd still go, but they wouldn't really feel like they were part of it, because they'd have to kind of do it all on a super budget. Yeah. So it was definitely a way to keep people kind of trapped in their fears and their like sadnesses about being lower to middle class. It's just, it's weird. I feel like a lot of the church gave me class consciousness, actually, about this stuff.
Yeah, I concur.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. A little bit more, then we'll get back to kazooing, y'all.
This is a statement from the Catholic Encyclopedia. Christmas was not among the earliest festivals of the church. Irenaeus and Tertullian omit it from their lists of feasts. Origen asserts that in the scriptures, sinners alone, not saints, celebrate their birthday. The early church never kept Christmas, and that's quite a surprise for some, especially for a holiday which is assumed to be one of the most important in the Christian year. In 350 AD, Pope Julius proclaimed December 25th to be the date of Christ's birth. But before that, practically every month of the year had been suggested by some teacher or another as the month of Christ's birth. This can be found in the book The Pageantry of Christmas on page 10, edited by Stanley Fillmore. And according to biblical evidence, there's no way.
I feel like Peter Griffin. I'm like Peter Griffin at this point. I'm like, oh my God, who the hell cares?
Right. See, it was in a book. Someone wrote it down. Therefore true.
25th could have been the birthday of Christ. Adam Clarke, the prominent biblical historian from the 19th century, explained in his discussion of Luke chapter 2 that the shepherds and their flocks would have not been in the fields at the end of December, as that was the cold and rainy season in ancient Israel. So the story that countless millions of children are taught each year is absolutely false. Christmas isn't Christian at all. Even details of Christ's birth are jumbled when told in the Christmas story. For example, the wise men from the east did not visit Jesus as a baby in a manger. Luke chapter 2 describes an angel telling shepherds they would find the newly born Messiah as a babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. That's in Luke 2 and verse 12. But by the time the wise men came to look for the King of the Jews, in Matthew 2 verse 2, Jesus was already a young child and lived in a house.
Wait a second. Are they actually pointing out the conflicts in the stories of the Bible for us?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Oh my, good times.
At the time of the wise men's visit, Christ would have been close to 2 years old. Surprise after surprise after surprise. You'd think a fundamental Christian holiday would actually stem from accurate church history and from the Bible. But when it comes to Christmas, you'd be wrong.
Okay. All right. We need some kazooing because, oh my God, that's that little
before everybody falls asleep. What's
this guy? Oh.
Human chamois or cheesecloth or whatever you want to call it. Oh my God. This guy looks like a glass of milk that's been left out on the counter for like 3 days.
Get it, Justin.
So which one are we doing next? So when I was a kid, this is actually one of my favorite ones. One, because it's short, it's only 2 verses, and the other one is because I always kind of like the melody of it. So, Lord, teach me that I may know. Interesting little factoid about this. In the new hymnal, in the 93 hymnal, they changed the title of it to I think it's the Servant's Prayer. I think it was. So, but yeah. So, Lord, teach me that I may know. Okay.
Thank you. Do you remember when we couldn't actually clap after special music happened? That they told us to not clap, to just sit there in silence?
Yep. I remember the only exception they would make for that is at the Feast of Tabernacles for the kids. Because I guess even like COGers kind of understood. I mean, we can't be that cruel as to not clap for kids. So.
I mean,
God would want us to clap for kids. I mean,
Right. But I mean, wouldn't the kids like feel the disappointment? Like they're excited about getting clapped for, and then they get clapped for, and it like doesn't really live up to the hype, and so they're just let down, like with presents.
Yeah. I thought we'd get a standing O. Screw this. I'm not doing this next year.
Your lovely wife is really taken with your kazooing skills. I can tell.
Stop it. You're embarrassing me. All right.
I think we need one more. Oh.
Okay. So this is an interesting one. So these two, it's like they had 2 The Lord is My Shepherd, and they had different melodies. And I never understood why they had, because like the words were pretty much the same, but like for some reason they had 2 of them. But I'll play both of them. I'm not sure which one is which, but I don't really think it matters at this point. So I will play the first one that I preferred when I was a kid.
You must have a head for melodies, because these just didn't stick with me like they did with you. All right.
So this is, let's see, Lord is My Shepherd. And then the other one was, let me see. I don't know why they needed 2 of them. I guess they couldn't decide which one they liked better. I don't know.
One has a contraction and the other one doesn't. So maybe that, I don't know. Probably it was political, right? Like probably whoever wrote both of them, like they didn't want to leave
they
one
didn't want
out.
to put one on the scrap heap. Wow.
Right. They were too important of an evangelist or whatever. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's see. Let's get us back over to our wonderful show here to learn more about Christmas.
Yeah, the human Melba toast. Well,
yes.
And what about the myth of Santa Claus? In the English-speaking world, Santa plays a prominent role. How many children go to sleep on Christmas Eve, dreaming of the fantastic toys that Santa will bring during his nighttime ride through the skies? Did you grow?
Okay, I absolutely felt smug that I knew Santa wasn't real and all these other kids thought he was real.
Yeah. And the way my mother tried to turn me off to Santa Claus when I was a kid was the old, well, you know, if you take the name Santa and you switch the last 3 letters around, it spells out Satan.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, accurate, but
And I used to tell other kids that in school. It made me real popular.
I think I experienced some of that same local fame. Yeah. Ooh, good. Gotta isolate us socially. That's fun.
Grow up believing in Santa? Do you remember the instant you learned Santa wasn't real? Were you perplexed and even crushed that someone, even your own parents, had lied to you? It reminds me.
I do always wonder, how the heck is it that parents are fine talking about Jesus, talking about Santa, and then the kids don't just go, wait, so if Santa's not real, maybe all those other ones.
Yeah, I like the whole tone being set here of, you know, are you disillusioned with your parents for lying to you? Let us suck you into our cult.
This channel's actually like way more popular than it ought to be, man.
Yeah, we're totally not bullshitting you like your parents were.
Right. We have the truth without the head bobs that Armstrong used to do.
We have a story from a few years back when a morning disc jockey at Babylon, New York's WBAB-FM station told his young listeners that there was no Santa Claus. Outraged mothers and fathers complained to the station, and disc jockey John Paris was forced to apologize. And yet what he had said was true. What an uncomfortable and even nasty surprise to find out the people you trusted most had fed you a lie.
What's that?
I said, what a useless piece of knowledge that was. and honestly, I'll be the first to tell you, I'm a well of useless information, and that's like too useless even for me. Like, I will never remember that.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
In an article run by Newsday back on December 23rd, 2004, Professor Cindy Scheib pointed out, who tells you Santa Claus is not real? It's usually someone you don't know or someone who's not particularly trustworthy, like your annoying older brother.
Or somebody trying to suck you into a cult.
He does exist.
Exactly. They left that one out, Justin. I'm not entirely sure why.
What are the friggin' odds?
People you trust. So one ugly surprise about Christmas is that it's based on myths and legends that have nothing to do with the Bible or the teachings of Christ.
Which is also myths and legends, but okay.
Christmas isn't Christian at all. But most people think, what's the big deal? After all, does it really matter where it comes from as long as we use it to honor Christ? That's a common question. And that leads us to our second Christmas surprise. Number 2, it matters to God how we worship him. Now you might say, stop right there. I know that the origins of Christmas are a little shady, a little suspect, but does God really care? Stay with me and let's see. In the time of ancient Israel, when God was first bringing his people out of Egypt, he gave them specific instructions on how to worship him. The 10 Commandments form the basis of those instructions. But he also gave many other details as well, including the mandate to not worship the true God with pagan practices. Notice one of those instructions found in Deuteronomy chapter 12 and verse 29. When the Lord your God cuts off from before you the nations which you go to dispossess, and you displace them and dwell in their land, take heed that you do not inquire after.
Wait. Did this passage about how to worship just start with go and genocide that nation and take it?
Yeah, pretty much. You shocked?
Okay. That's Yahweh for you.
Yep.
Wow. All right. You know what? I do believe romper bumper stomper boo. Tell me do. Hello there, Tori Swansiger. It is so nice to see you in the chat. All right, let's see where we go after deposing people from their land.
Their gods, saying, how did these nations serve their gods? I also will do likewise. You shall not worship the Lord your God in that way. Notice, God didn't just tell them, don't worship the pagan gods of those around you. No, he said, do not worship me, the true God, with the pagan forms of worship of those around you. And think about it. That's exactly what is done today with Christmas. Ancient pre-Christian symbols and forms used in the name of Jesus Christ. Maybe it is a big deal to God. Later on in Israel's history, the prophet Jeremiah got more specific. Notice what it says starting in Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 2.
Oh, I feel ill.
Yeah.
Jimmy,
I
you wanna say?
just love the pure, unadulterated narcissism of all of this. It's
Yeah, I
like
can tell.
it's like God, the creator of the entire infinite universe, cares about the way you cares whether or not you put up a tree every Christmas, on this little speck out of this whole vast wide, it's so comical.
Right. Right. And add that on top of he cares so much about what you do with your ding-a-ling and all
Yeah.
of that. Like, because it matters so much to like the friggin' cosmos that we can observe now, right?
Yeah. You don't worship me properly, you're not going to get into my celestial North Korea.
I think you should always call it that. Oh my god.
Yeah. That's from Christopher Hitchens. I can't take credit for that.
Oh, fair enough. I am not well studied on that, gentleman. Yeah.
Thus says the Lord, do not learn the way of the Gentiles. Do not be dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the Gentiles are dismayed at them. For the customs of the peoples are futile. For one cuts a tree from the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They decorate it with silver and gold. They fasten it with nails and hammers, so that it will not topple. How could it be any more plain? The principle in the Bible is don't mix the religion of the world with the religion of the true God. It matters to God how we worship him. Notice what Christ said to the Samaritan woman at the well. By the way, the Samaritans were well known for mixing elements of the true religion with idolatrous practices. Exactly what God has expressly forbidden.
I mean, I would contend that pretty much religion has been a combined of other ideas here and there in a web the whole time.
Yeah. It always makes me laugh how they mock idolatry. Meanwhile, they all like worship like Herbert Armstrong as if he's some kind of like he was like some kind of like God figure on Earth. Especially in PCG, like they really, I mean PCG, like they literally like they made an auditorium that was almost a carbon copy of Ambassador Auditorium in Oklahoma. So yeah, you're gonna tell me so idolatry is wrong for everybody else but you, But that's how it is with these people. These people aren't actually about anything. It's all bullshit. They don't believe any of the things they're teaching people, and it's just all about manipulation and just getting people to believe your dumb bullshit. That's why most cult leaders hate their members. If you remember, like Herbert Armstrong, whenever like he would send out angry letters that they weren't like donating, giving enough money or something like that, he would always like abuse them in letters. And the membership would eat it up, and they would give them more money because they love to be abused. Like that's how brainwashed they were. I will say though, one thing I am low key impressed about with this human piece of stale Wonder Bread sitting out on a kitchen counter. When he actually like goes to the Bible scriptures, he actually says Lord. And the reason I say that is because if you go back and you watch like old telecasts, more often than not, the presenter will not say Lord, they'll say the Eternal. I don't know why that was, but for some reason, like they made it a point to say the Eternal instead of Lord. So I guess this guy isn't charismatic enough to do that. Which doesn't at all surprise me from what I've seen of him.
Yeah, the Eternal. You're right. They did say that.
Yeah.
Great God, Eternal Father was how every prayer I ever heard in my house started.
Yeah. I don't know what the aversion was to the word Lord, but
Really, this group's on board with it.
Yep.
And then, do you want to read your wife's comment?
Wow, this guy is full of it. They are worshiping the emperor who actually decided to take all of the gospels full of caca and to benefit himself. Stupid people. Yep.
Oh, it's so sad, isn't it? But like we're all looking for comfort, and it's like in a world that truly is like we don't know so much. We don't know the future. There's so many things we don't have figured out. It did feel good to hear the crap that they said because it was the answer, and like you got to be the special one that knew the right thing and you were God's elect. And it really like plucked at the things that are hardest about being a human
Mhm.
and tried to like use that to control you. Ugh.
Yeah.
Gross.
But don't take my word for it. Go and watch this human bottle of flat seltzer who taught me all this stuff to begin with.
I'm going to clip together all the things you called this guy. So funny. Okay. Do we need a kazoo quick?
Sure, why not?
Okay. Why not?
What do we got next?
What do we got? Let's see. We did The Lord is My Shepherd. Oh, this one is also you.
Okay, yeah. So
this
this one used to make me laugh, like more so like in the mornings, like because sometimes you had morning services, you had afternoons, but more often than not we had morning services. And you're not always in the best voice in the morning. You're always like, in the morning, and none of the men could. More often than not, like the men had a hard time like hitting the high note at the end. So it used to kind of make me like chuckle when I was a kid. So yeah, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So yeah, thou shepherd that dost Israel keep. Okay, so.
Okay. Thank you, Justin.
Sometimes out of mercy, what the song leader would do is tell everybody, you don't have to you don't have to hold the note, just sing through it. Because you would have to hold that note towards the end. It's like, no, you don't have to hold it, just keep going.
So funny. Oh, let me see. Maybe we'll just go back to the show here then. We'll have another break in a minute for more kazoo, huh?
Yep.
Okay. Here we go.
That's one reason why the Jews were so antagonistic toward them. Notice, starting in John chapter 4 and verse 23. The hour is coming, and now is, when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and truth. For the Father is seeking such to worship him. God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and truth. Think about it. How does keeping Christmas qualify as worshiping God in spirit and in truth? Jesus tells us how to worship him and the Father according to truth, as outlined in Scripture. But Jesus goes on further. He explains that just proclaiming his name is not enough.
No.
We have to obey his and the Father's commandment.
What do you got there, Justin?
Yeah. Ugh. So saith the pan of used motor oil.
I know, right?
Oh my God.
Well, because our cult was they weren't just like saved by grace, right? Like that was like almost treasonous when the grace stuff came out in the 90s. And so they were very much like belief and also works, right?
Yeah,
like
faith without works is dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate that I remember that, but
yeah, no, yeah. Like need to do some like cleansing rituals so you don't remember as much as you do. Oh my gosh, it's all there.
Not the traditions of men. Notice what he told the Pharisees in Matthew chapter 15 and verse 3. He answered and said to them, "Why do you also transgress the commandment of God because of your tradition? Hypocrites, well did Isaiah prophesy about you, saying, these people draw near to me with their mouth and honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. And in vain they worship me, teaching as doctrines the commandments of men." To put this in the vernacular, Jesus is saying, don't worship me any way you want, thinking as long as it's with the name of Jesus, it's okay. It matters to
What?
me how you worship me. How can...
Yeah, that's exactly what he was saying, right?
Yeah.
Okay. My brain shuts off when Christian stuff is talked about. It's like, because I just go into the mode I did when I was listening to it, because you can't really think when you're listening to it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
keeping an ancient festival of Saturnalia satisfy what Christ is saying?
Saturnalia, I remember
Especially when
that.
we see the...
Yeah, they talked about it a lot.
My mother did. She used to tell me
Really?
that all Christmas was Saturnalia dressed up as a Christian holiday.
Oh, yeah.
So
I mean, they're not terribly wrong, though. Like, so many of the traditions really are straight out of pagan stuff.
yeah.
It's strange because didn't they love the Roman Empire? Like, they venerated the Roman Empire in a weird way, but like also felt like it was evil. I don't understand. What did you get about the Roman Empire and their traditions?
Yeah, it was the same. I mean, the big thing with the Roman Empire was, especially in PCG more so, was when I remember when the euro currency first came out. That was supposed to be a huge step in like the the European Union, like the last final like formation of the Holy Roman Empire beginning. And it was the iron mixed with clay, to start, and then as time went on, they would grow to be more powerful, and they would all mobilize behind this charismatic figure. And in PCG they would say it was Jörg Haider, and then no, it's not him. It's this guy Edmund Stoiber, who was running to be the next like German chancellor, who never won. I think he ran twice.
Oh my gosh!
And it was just always about whoever was going to get elected the next like chancellor of Germany, like they were going to be like the next the leader of the Holy Roman Empire. And then Joseph Ratzinger became pope, and he was the end time pope. He was the one that was going to usher in the Great Tribulation. And then we all know like he ended up like retiring and leaving, and none of this shit ever none of it ever came to pass, because of course it didn't. We all knew it was bullshit.
It's just like the rapture days when it's predicted and everyone gets their emotions all worked up, and then it crashes down, and somehow they keep doing it. Like Restored Church of God is one of the offshoots, and that guy makes his whole thing, David C. Pack, he makes it entirely about predicting the next day, sometimes to the point of having like 50 different days in a year that he's telling people is going to be the day. And I just don't get how people keep following it.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, like, every now and then, like on a Sunday morning, I'll be up and I'll see the Key of David, and I'll see, which is PCG's telecast. And, I'll sit there and watch, and I'll say to myself, well, how did people keep falling for this shit? Does anybody still fall for it? How can anybody be this gullible? And then nowadays I have to stop and remember who the president is.
Yeah. It really like same fucking vibe. I don't get it at all. How? Do you have eyes? Are you using them? Oh my gosh. Exactly.
Yep.
Oh, that's a great point. We should talk about that sometime.
There are still people out there buying Peter Popoff's Miracle Spring water. So, I mean, there's plenty of stupid still out there. And you know what? To be fair, I won't chalk it all up to stupid. It's what really makes it nefariously evil is like they're knowingly exploiting people like at desperate points in their lives where they hit rock bottom and they have nowhere else to turn. So I won't put it all on stupidity, or that plays a big role in it. But it is also it's just the exploitation a lot of times of desperation.
Oh, 100%. Say that one louder. Exploitation of desperation, for sure. And to me, there is no greater reason to do what we can as humans on this planet to make a better world for all, so that people are not in those desperate situations, and make sure that they have access to good scientifically viable information, because it changes everything about who we can be together on the planet.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And it shows you, it just really shows you why like religious conservatives try so hard to tear down public education, because it's like it's such
Or
a
infiltrate it.
yeah, it's such a and we in our town, which is generally progressive, like we had that, like we had people who were trying to get like a Turning Point USA club in our high school, who ran MAGA candidates for our school board, and thankfully it got shut down. We're kind of in like an anti-MAGA mode for the most part right now, and my great state of New Jersey did the right thing and elected an anti-MAGA candidate governor. I think she's going to do a great job, Mikey Sherrill. I'm very relieved that she won. I knew she was going to win by a bigger margin than people said she was, but it gives hope. Even in like deep red areas, you see like you see the left, Democrats making like inroads. I don't want to make this too political. I don't want to veer into that, but
it's a political time.
It is, because you look at what the president is doing. I won't mention his name because he gets his name spoken more than enough. He doesn't need it for me.
Good.
I will say either the president or 47 or whatever. I try to do that, but you look at the methods that televangelists used in the 80s and 90s. Like he totally bogarted all of that to get to where he is now. Totally rode that wave, and he used those people to get into power.
Absolutely. And tell me, Make America Great Again isn't the world tomorrow promise all done up in a different package,
Yeah.
So sad. Okay.
The irony of that was like in the COGs, you weren't allowed to vote.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Because it was only up to God who led the country. So you weren't supposed to participate in voting because you could be going against God's will for all you know. And would you want to risk that?
Right. And we weren't supposed to have our own opinions of anything in the church. So why would we have our opinions of that either? Yeah. Because God was in control. Oh, well, I would like to welcome.
Yes. Go.
Okay. Romper, bumper, stomper, boo. Tell me, do. I see meme philosopher in the chat and some nut on you to be. And welcome also to Lost Explorer Guild. Thank you, 3, for being here today. It's so nice to have you join us. Oh, all right. Are we ready for a little more of this?
If you don't mind, I mean, I gotta kind of step away for a minute. I know this is live, but I kind of really.
Oh, that's okay.
So
that's how we do.
You can keep playing this glass of human warm beer while I.
Perfect.
I step away.
What you got to do?
Yes.
Okay.
Early true church never kept this festival. We need to seek not our own reasoning, but God's will. What does God want? Not what our friends do or what our grandparents or parents taught us. We can't be afraid of upsetting those around us. Some will not like it if we fearlessly follow the truth. But whom are we seeking to please? The world or our Savior? Many are shocked to read some of the actual words of Christ, such as in Matthew 10, starting in verse 34. Read it with me. Do not think that I came to bring peace.
Come on. Does anyone really think that it's the actual words of Christ just because they used red ink? Ay.
Peace on earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's enemies will be those of his own household. He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he who does not take his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. In other words, it's difficult to really obey God in this world because so many are going the opposite way. But if you're watching this program, and if you're seeking the truth, and you're understanding what you're hearing, you can step out on faith. You can determine in your heart, I'm going to follow the truth no matter what. I will open this book and find out what God is really telling me to do. So be courageous, step out on faith, determined to really seek him and obey him, and he will bless you for it. It matters to God how we worship him.
Oh, that was all that
But
point?
if we're to
I
not
felt
keep
like I missed
ancient
absolutely
idolatrous
nothing.
rituals in honor of Christ, what days are we to keep? In this segment, let's unwrap the third Christmas surprise. Number
Ooh.
3, the Bible reveals holy days.
Something tells me I'm going to be deeply disappointed with these presents that he's giving us in this.
Well,
in
yeah,
this
spoiler alert.
Christians are to keep. What are they? They can be found listed in your Bible. You may have heard of some of them, but you might have assumed that they're Jewish. It also may come as a surprise that they can be found in the New Testament. The New Testament Christians of the first century understood and observed these days. So what are they? Well, first comes the New Testament Passover.
Okay, so these are the holy days that we kept as kids
Yeah.
in this church that they, I mean, I would call this appropriation, that they went and dug up the Jewish holy day stuff and tried to attach something even more ancient to it to try to say that it's like the true thing, right? Because that was our whole church's thing, was this is the true church, God's true church.
Yeah. And the funny thing about this is I remember every year when Passover came around, you know, my mother and her husband, like, they would have to like get the basins for the foot washing to because they had to make sure they had everything they needed to you know, to wash the feet and all that. And
Right.
you know, so that was one thing. Like, I wasn't there long enough as an adult to experience personally, because you had to be like baptized, you had to be converted in order to do that. So I never
let's talk about the weirdness of that, right? Because I don't think that came from anything other than like the, you know, just the incidents of feet being washed in the Bible.
Yeah,
but they did a whole thing, right, where they separated the men and the women, and they made everybody bring a tub, and then they'd sit down in front of each other and wash each, like literally wash each other's feet as part of their rituals.
Yeah, it was all about, you know, it was all about teaching humility, and you know, personally, I think maybe Herbie had like a foot fetish or something. he got off watching people wash each other's feet. You know, who knows?
How much stupid shit can I make people do?
Yeah, that's what cult leaders do. You know,
it is.
You know, look at last year when people, supporters of the president, were wearing gold diapers at his rallies. You know, I mean, nothing surprises me anymore.
Seriously, yes. The foot washing with hair. I don't think they used hair. I think they were given a towel.
Yeah.
That's funny though. I mean, that probably happened after the foot fetish night at the church. Who knows? So funny. All right, let's hear about these holy days.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's in the springtime, usually in early April. Passover reminds us that Jesus fulfilled the role of the Lamb of God slain for our sins. That's why Passover is important to Christians. As Paul said in 1 Corinthians 5 and verse 7, "For indeed Christ, our Passover, was sacrificed for us." In other words, the Christian Passover is the crucial first step in the plan of God in bringing redemption to sinning mankind. And Passover was kept by the early Christians, even the Gentile Christians. Next,
we were not allowed to sing Mary Had a Little Lamb because it was presumed that it was about like Mary and Jesus. Is that true for you?
I never, no, this is the first time I'm hearing that.
Oh, see, everybody like got weird about the rules on their own. So that was our particular strange one, is we could not sing Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Yeah. So for us, like the weird one, like, you know, following along that line of thought, the weird one for us, like when we got into PCG, my mother like started forbidding anything with a heart on it, because as it turned out, she learned that the heart is a pagan symbol, so she didn't want any hearts in the house.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah.
And hearts were not an issue for us. See, isn't that funny? Everybody like took the control of the church and they like put extra control on themselves. So messed up.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Okay.
Next, we find the Feast of Unleavened Bread. It follows right after Passover. The Feast of Unleavened Bread teaches us that we must change and grow. Christ's sacrifice sets us free, but we can't continue in sin. We have to resist sin and learn a new way of life with God's help.
Okay, for us, the whole thing was you had to get every bit of leavened bread out of your house. So no yeast bread, nothing baking soda or baking powder in your house. Anything risen had to not be there. And I was always told, at least, that like risen bread represented like the sin of pride, that you would puff yourself up with pride. And so that's what you were metaphorically getting rid of.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you heard too? Yeah.
Yeah. So one of my fondest days of unleavened bread memories is when one year when we were in GCG, I think it was in '98. We had it was a double service. We were having lunch in between services. This was at the Old Mount Airy Lodge in the Poconos. If anybody ever remembers seeing in the 80s and 90s the commercials for that, the jingles were very memorable. But yeah, we had we were having lunch and they served us chicken parmesan with breadcrumbs on it.
Oh. The horror.
Yeah, and it like turned into this whole big this whole big drama. And the funny thing was, like, I was the one who brought it up. I brought our elder. He wasn't our regional pastor. He was our elder, and I brought up to him, this chicken parmesan has breadcrumbs on it. He was like totally beside himself. So I take credit for like the whole hullabaloo that ensued afterwards.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Oh yes, Yosemite on my mind is mentioning matzos. To this day, I think matzos are delicious. Like little tiny sheen of butter, maybe some mint jelly, because we had the mint jelly from, what was it, the night to be remembered. We would eat lamb or whatever. That's it.
So
it was a good combo.
For me, it depended on the matzah. So if it was the whole wheat matzah, no.
Fair.
You could break a tooth on that shit. But the egg matzah, okay, that I could do. And yeah. I do remember many a year of bringing peanut butter and jelly matzah sandwiches to school when I was a kid. So and kids looking around like, what the hell are you eating? So my personal favorite when I was a kid was the macaroons, and then around Passover time I will still look for them. Anything like that, especially like the cherry chocolate chip macaroons, like that's like a drug for me. Like I will probably still search those out.
I don't think we indulged in those, but that would make total sense. I'm gluten-free now, so now I'm more aware of those things. Oh, that's fun. Okay, well, let's see. I want to make sure we do some more kazooing, but let's maybe get through the feast or the holy days, and we'll have a little kazoo time. Oh wait, there's somebody new here.
Ooh.
Romper bumper stomper boo. Tell me do. I see my unfinished journey in the chat. Hello, my unfinished journey. I'm so glad you could be here. It's good to see you. All right. Holy days, here we come.
As Paul also says in 1 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 8, therefore let us keep the feast, not with old leaven, nor with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. The third holy day in the lineup of God's New Testament holy day calendar is the Feast of First Fruits. In New Testament times, it was called Pentecost, meaning 50th. Pentecost occurred in late May to mid-June. In the Middle East, in the Holy Land, this was the time of the beginning of the wheat harvest. For Christians in the New Testament, Pentecost was the day in 31 AD when the Holy Spirit was poured out on the early church.
I don't know if they're going to say it.
I never understood Pentecost when I was a kid. It was like the Jan Brady of holy days. It was like so like why are we doing it? The other ones I understood. Pentecost when I was a kid, I'm like, because we once missed a family wedding because it fell on friggin' Pentecost, and I'm like, I don't understand the point of this holy day. Like,
right?
So like, it's in like the middle of whenever. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Like why are we doing this?
Well, and didn't they determine when it would be? Because like you said, it was a range of when it would be, and it was like count 50, right? Pentecost. They always said it was count 50, and it was like you counted 50 days after the last full moon in whatever month or something like that. And I'm like, doesn't that sound a little pagan to anyone else that you're doing things off of the moon cycle? But whatever, they were down for it. They thought that's what it was.
Why don't you just go by Dorothy clicking her heels 3 times and saying there's no place to home? Like, what's the friggin' difference?
Exactly. Oh, so funny.
That's found in Acts chapter 2 and verse 1. When the day of Pentecost had fully come, they were all with one accord in one place. And suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled the whole house where they were sitting. This was the beginning of the New Testament Church of God. It began the first fruits of salvation. The bigger harvest occurred later at the end of the summer. So what we learn from this feast day is that God is not calling everyone today. Only a small group of first fruits, the early harvest.
And there it is, how they get you. If you believe this, you're one of the special ones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they did not believe in speaking in tongues, even though I think this same passage in, evangelical Pentecostal churches, they do think that the speaking in tongues is like not only what required, but that it was what happened there. And
yeah, if you tried to speak tongues in the COGs, they'd make fun of you and kick you out.
Oh yeah. Oh no. I mean, I was told it was like demon possession, basically.
I remember one of the funny PCG stories that I can recall now. I'm going to go on a little tangent here.
Do it.
So Gerald Fleury, during one of his sermons, told a story about how he was in his front yard. I don't know if it was like raking leaves or some shit. And this guy comes up to him out of nowhere and says, "Hey, I hear you're teaching about the end time Messiah and when he's going to come." He says, "Yes." He goes, "Well, I'm him." And Gerald Fleury tells him, "No, you're not." He goes, "Yes, I am." He goes, "No, you're not." He goes, "How do you know?" "Because I know the Bible, and I know that you're not him." And then he gets into his little red car and drives off. And that was the end of it. So, whenever like something like that, whenever like any kind of like weird shit like that, whenever they would like dismiss it out of hand, and they would just like mock it and just make fun of it. Like they didn't believe in any of that.
Gosh. Same meme philosopher. I left Christianity, but I can still speak in tongues. Me too. And it's so fun. I almost will defend it though, because I swear I get into like a cool little brainwave state when I'm doing it. And it's, I don't know, it's kind of fun. It's like you disengage something language in your brain to do it.
No, the best I can do, the best I can do is like Andy Kaufman, Ibida. Like that's as far as I go.
I mean, if you do it over and over and you vary the volume and tone, you might convince some people that you've been given the gift of the Holy Spirit.
If I had no integrity, maybe I would give that a
shot. Rest will have their chance later. Have you ever heard about the New Testament Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and Pentecost? Are you aware that New Testament Christians should be keeping these days? That might come as a surprise to you, but instead of Christmas and other traditional holidays, these are the biblical holy days that Christians are to keep. The next holy day or feast day is called the Feast of Trumpets. The Feast of Trumpets occurs in late September or early October in the Roman calendar. It prophetically represents the triumphant return of Jesus Christ. He will come to earth a second time. Only this time he will come in power and glory during a time of war, misery, and destruction here on earth. Find out more about it through our telecast entitled, What is the Feast of Trumpets? After the Feast of Trumpets comes the Day of Atonement. The Day of Atonement also occurs.
What do you want to say about
this was the one I hated the most. So
Everybody did.
When we were kids, we were all forced to fast all day. And then, of course, you were starving the whole day. And, everybody had cow breath because you couldn't even suck on mints or chew gum because it was a sin to swallow it because, you would be breaking your fast. So everything about
Even water. We couldn't have water, and it was 24 hours. People got super sick doing that.
Everything, myself included. And of course, once sunset came, you would sit down and eat a heavy meal after not eating all day, and it would make my stomach sick. And I would have to run to the bathroom when I was a kid. It was like when Richard Dreyfuss cut the shark open in Jaws. It was terrible. Because what else is supposed to happen to you when you have an empty stomach all day and then you're just pigging out afterwards at a restaurant or something?
Now, we didn't do that.
Yeah, that's what we would usually do. We would all go to a restaurant after the service and stuff ourselves.
Right.
Which is not, any doctor will tell you, is not good for you to do.
Right. Well, I'll give my parents a little credit on that one then, because when we did it, they were talking about it like breakfast, like break fast. Not that it's really related, but so we always did a bowl of cream of wheat as our breaking the fast thing. So I didn't have the sick thing happen like you did.
Yeah.
So,
and Yosemite, he chimed in like your children would be taken away now by child services if you did that. I would love to believe that. But, in a day and age where, the director of Health and Human Services is telling you it's okay for your children to be plague rats and spread disease, I don't know about that anymore.
Also a fair point.
When you evoke religion into things like that, there are certain liberties that you can get away with, and we all know that from experience because we were able to get, my parents and your parents, they were all able to kind of get away with things that you wouldn't otherwise be able to get away with.
Right, exactly. Oh, I know.
In a perfect world, you would get your kids taken away. I would totally concur with that.
Right. No, it's true. The things you can get away under the guise of religion is kind of bonkers. Yeah.
In late September or early to mid-October. It represents humanity being purified from sin, and it represents the source of that sin, the devil, being taken away. The Day of Atonement was still held in high esteem by New Testament Christians in the first century, as we find in Acts 27 and verse 7. In this passage, Luke detailed the journeys of Paul and his traveling companions as they sailed on the Mediterranean Sea. We read this: "We sailed under the shelter of Crete off Salmon. Passing it with difficulty, we came to a place called Fair Havens near the city of Lasea. Now, when much time had been spent and sailing was now dangerous because the fast was already over, Paul advised them." In the New International Version, it translates it this way: "By now, it was after the Day of Atonement." How are we to understand this? Well, the Day of Atonement took place in late September or early to mid-October. And after that time, sailing on the Mediterranean was stormy and dangerous. But the writer, Luke, used the Day of Atonement as a marker of time that his audience would be familiar with, even Gentile Christians. Why would they?
I'm not sure how that proves that it's God's true command for how we worship, but,
Yeah, I mean,
it showed up in that Bible again.
If he says it's in the book, it's got to be true. That's like, so that's like how, Herbie used to say, don't believe me, believe your Bible. And, when Rod Meredith, he put his when he started the Global Church of God and he did the World Ahead telecast, he would put his own spin on it. He would tell me, check up on me, prove these things. Don't believe me, believe the words of your own Bible, because my totally subjective interpretation of what I'm telling you is totally 100% right, despite all the countless people throughout centuries who have interpreted these scriptures totally different ways. I'm the one who's got it right.
Well, and they tell you what to think when you read it anyway. So then when you read it, you're going to obviously put that in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's right. See, it's right there, right in the book, clear as day. There's no disputing it.
I like how he had to go to 2 translations to be like, see, it kind of seems like it, but then it really seems like it if you look at the New International Version.
Yeah, and that's why they discouraged, in my congregations, at least in GCG and in PCG, they actually discouraged you from reading anything other than like King James or New King James translations of the Bible.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah, especially like in COG circles, I think like NIV was like considered like a demonic like translation of the Bible, like it wasn't credible.
Right. I had a hard time accepting it when I became an evangelical, but it was the one everybody there liked. So I don't know. You just kind of get on board with the group you're a part of,
Yeah.
Because you got to fit in, because that feeds your social need, which is like a survival instinct we have,
Yeah.
Yeah. Plucking at our deepest like protectiveness.
Triggering all the PTSD.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yep.
Absolutely. Or at least CPTSD, but yeah.
Unless they were actually keeping it years after the church was founded in 31 AD. The next biblical feast day is the Feast of Tabernacles. In short, the Feast of Tabernacles is a 7-day period that usually falls in early to late October, foreshadowing 1,000 years of peace, prosperity, and abundance on earth. This is still in the future, but it is coming soon. Jesus Christ will personally reign on this earth, and all humanity, those who survive the Great Tribulation and the Day of the Lord, will enjoy the blessings and benefits of living under the rule of Jesus Christ. And that brings us to the last feast day.
Doesn't that sound like so much to look forward to?
Yes, please come rule over me. That sounds fucking great.
Yeah. I survived Armageddon just to make it all the way to like celestial North Korea where
I know. You cannot, seriously, I think you cannot say that enough. That's what heaven, just like heaven or any of this stuff, that's what it's all trying to say. Oop.
Yeah, and I have to admit I have a lot of fond memories of the Feast of Tabernacles too. We did a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah. It was like the 1 year or 1 week of the year that we got to do a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. We did a lot of I have a lot of good Feast of Tabernacles memories. It wasn't so much as once I started getting into like middle school age, like getting into 7th and 8th grade, I enjoyed myself, but it became tough because the workload at school was becoming more. It would increase, and I would fall so far behind.
Right.
It was like a really difficult hole to dig out of.
Yeah, for sure. I know. Not to mention, I know a lot of kids or people have talked about being like the weird one then with all the other kids because they would like leave school unexpectedly for a week.
Yeah. Then that also goes back to being able to get away with stuff that you wouldn't otherwise be able to get away with.
Totally, for sure. Okay, here we
Biblical
go.
Back to the.
This is called the last great day.
Back to the what?
Back to the human bottle of fermented Gatorade.
See, I need to catch every one of your euphemisms.
Oh, jeez.
It follows on the heels of the Feast of Tabernacles and represents the time of the general resurrection. This is the time when the great masses of unsaved billions will be raised to life again and have a genuine chance for salvation. This day is for them. It's
Walking Zombie Day.
Yeah.
After the 1,000-year millennium. Their understanding will be open, God's Spirit will be made available to them, and they'll be offered eternal life. Those are the holy days found in your New Testament. In contrast to Christmas, Easter...
Okay.
Don't you want to live forever just to be like this guy?
Ugh.
Doesn't that sound so like wonderful to you?
No, it sounds like just like I'm trapped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we need some kazoo in our life here, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, this one is also you. Unless the Lord shall build.
This was another very popular one in my Jersey City congregation when I was a kid in WCG. This one got used a lot. Unless the Lord shall build a house.
Yay! Thank you so much. Again, I feel so edified. Okay, so I've got to get my brain. My music brain turns off when I'm live somehow. So let me see.
So I have a story for this.
Okay, yes, go for it.
America the Beautiful. So, some people in the chat might know this, especially if they're like from outside the U.S. Outside the U.S., they didn't sing America. They sang "O Israel." And when I was in PCG, whenever the song leader chose this song, they would always change it. They would never sing America. They always change it to "O Israel," because PCG I think leaned a little harder than the other splinters into the whole Armstrong British Israelism ties. I think that was really trying to they really leaned hard into that, and so I guess America wasn't encompassing enough, so they had to like change it to "O Israel" to include all of, I guess, the 12 tribes of Israel.
Yeah, and I mean they kind of had a weird relationship going on with what they thought about Israel anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like how they thought that played into the end times and how God had like transferred his demarcation of being the chosen people from the Jews to white English speakers, which he claimed were the lost 10 tribes themselves, right? By way of some Irish princess. Aye. That is fascinating, though. I had no idea, because that makes total sense, because there was people all over the world, and still is, following these ideologies. So, yeah.
All right, you go.
Okay. All right. You ready?
Ready when you are. As Archie Bunker would say, "Bravo, bravo." I'm sure that was one of his favorite songs. Geez.
I feel so patriotic, oddly, right now.
Okay.
Okay. Well, let's just finish out this video, and then how about we close it out with our final song?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Back to the human container of cottage cheese. I was gonna call him a human loofah sponge, but loofah is actually like serve a purpose. So I'm just trying to find like useless stuff.
Well, I really like cottage cheese. I don't know.
Okay, well, yeah, that's a preference thing. I don't. I'll respect that. To each their own.
And other traditional holidays, these are the holy days that are found in the Bible and were kept by the early New Testament church. And so they should be kept by Christians today. That might be a surprise to you, but check it out for yourself. Don't believe us, believe your own Bible. In 1 Kings
There
18:21,
was
we
the
read
line.
the famous account of the prophet Elijah and his showdown with the prophets of Baal. It says, "And Elijah came to all the people and said, 'How long will you falter between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal, follow him.'" God is delivering the same message to us today. God wants us to reject.
Hold on. So I remember this from our Bible lessons from when we were kids. Like
Yeah.
there was one about Elijah, and it told the story about all of the people who were like calling Baal to come and show himself. And it would show illustrations of Basil Wolvertons, of people like in funny dances, doing funny dances and stuff to call upon him to show himself. And so that's what I remember from that the most.
Oh, and wasn't the talking donkey associated with Baal somehow too? Like he was saying he was like possessed by the spirit of Baal or something.
Yeah,
Things that are totally legit.
I remember very vividly all of those like Basil Wolverton like illustrations from the Bible story books and all of that, and they were largely very, very unpleasant, which was deliberate.
I heard over and over how many kids were totally fucking traumatized by seeing like people with boils on their skin or like drowning in the flood in these images. Like,
his illustrations were very Mad Magazine without the fun of it, like without the comedic tone. He actually used that kind of illustration to like evoke horror, which that's the point. That's what they sell you. It's all about horror and getting you scared, and
oh my gosh. That's an interesting thing. Meme philosopher that Yahweh and Baal were brothers in the same Canaanite pantheon, and El was the high god. Fascinating. I feel like I've heard a little bit about the history of that. Isn't that funny how everyone just takes a piece of something they heard and makes it their whole shtick then?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have a whole bunch of people in this country right now who have made our president their entire personality. So, I keep going back to that. I'm trying to, I just feel like I keep getting set up for it. the more we talk about cults and cult leaders, and it's hard to it's hard to like not bring up at this point.
No, it's fair. But I feel like that could end up good for us in a way, because if we deconstruct one set of that, maybe that'll help us see the patterns and deconstruct the next set, and we can just keep like undoing the bullshit that's keeping all of humanity trapped, and we can bring about the real world tomorrow. That's what I would like.
The world's traditions that only have the veneer of the name of Christ. And he instructs us to keep the biblical holy days that he made holy. He commands us to worship him in spirit and in truth with other sincere Christians who are discovering this precious truth as well. We hope and pray that includes you. Hey, everyone,
what's funny about this is like he's actually like outright saying full mask off that they're the true Christians in the telecast. And if from what I remember from telecasts when I was a kid, whether it was The World Tomorrow, The World Ahead, Key and David, they would never outright tell you that. They would kind of like lead you on to order their literature and like kind of come to that conclusion yourself. They would never really like come out and say, yeah, we're the ones. Follow up. He's just outright like giving away the whole plot, which doesn't surprise me, because like this guy like makes Mr. Rogers look like Mick Jagger. Like he has no personality whatsoever. So I guess he has to do that. But yeah, I'm actually kind of like surprised that he's outright, saying, yeah, we're the ones, like we're the true Christians. They would, the other ones would leave it an open-ended question. They wouldn't do that.
See, I feel like Armstrong did, though. He was bold as fuck, that little guy. He would just get out there and say that he was the guy that God had chosen to bring back God's true church. I mean, but yeah, maybe everybody who came after Armstrong didn't feel quite so bold to do it.
No, they didn't. No. And see, maybe that's what I'm leaning on, because by the time I remember the Armstrong telecasts like vaguely when I was a kid, when my mother first started getting into it, like when I'm talking about like toddler age. And then after he died, it was the era of like David Hume and David Albert and Richard Ames. And, they didn't take that hard line stance like that.
Right. No, that's probably true. Okay, I think we are almost done with this guy, and then we can do our final kazooing.
Yeah, I was done with him an hour ago, but
I know.
It's been fun nonetheless. I mean,
I know. It sure brought up a lot of your Holy Day stories. I love it.
Found this video helpful. We here at Tomorrow's World want to
Helpful
help
for
you
something.
make sense of your world through the pages of the Bible. So if you found it helpful and want to learn more, be sure to get your free copy of our study guide, Is Christmas Christian? Just click the link in the description or order online at twtv.org/Christmas.
Well, and they are still schlepping the free literature from day one. That's what it was with Armstrong.
It's not very creative. If you remember back in the WCG days, remember the booklet, The Plain Truth About Christmas, with the creepy Santa mask on the front of it?
Oh, I don't remember the Santa mask, but I remember a lot of the real truth about Christmas stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, they knew how to put out creepy looking covers for shit to really scare you.
Yeah.
I guess as time went on, they lost their spine. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's see here. So I think we'll close it out with one that I remember fondly, and Justin, you do as well.
Yes. So with this one on Holy Days, they actually used to have guys with trumpets kind of play along with this song. They would play along with other songs, but this was really I think the only hymn that was really useful where it fit. And the thing is, if I were a trumpet player personally, I would think this would suck, because all you're really doing is playing one note.
Right.
What's the joy in that? But yes, so God speaks to us. So I have to play the intro to this before I go into the song.
Okay, well, are we gonna have you do the trumpets and then I'll do the song?
Sure.
Or do you just go ahead? You got this one. I wish we could line our timing up, but you go ahead. I wanted to sing along so bad.
What a melodic nightmare that song was. Jesus. Oh.
This one was a favorite in our family. My little brother would da 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 da.
Yeah, I believe that was another song. I think it was called "God of Our Fathers," and they just added their own words to it. They did that with a couple of songs. I think "Glorious Things of Thee Were Spoken," the German national anthem. They put their own.
Oh. I forgot about that.
Yeah. I'll do an impromptu of that one. If
All right. Close us out. Lovely. Well, Justin, it has been an absolute delight to share the stage with you, and to Kazoo, to the stuff that gave us CPTSD, and
Yes.
to reclaim what our thoughts are about how the world is and how the world works and what the world could be that is not damaged by this religious bullshit.
Yes.
So I appreciate your time and that you're here.
I appreciate you having me. This was an absolute gas to do. I had the time. I had an absolutely great time trying to find like names for that. I don't know. I'm not feeling that creative to come up with new names for him anymore. I don't think he warrants it anymore. But it's been an absolute blast, and I thank everybody who took time out of their Christmas day to come here and watch us, and it's been a blast.
Awesome.
I very much enjoyed myself, and I thank you for having me.
And I would like to give a special thank you to all the mods who came to help in the channel and moderate the chat for us. I appreciate you. And PC, thanks for throwing all those links in there. That is so appreciated, and couldn't do it without y'all. Thank you so much for being here, Justin.
Yes.
And see y'all later.
Yes. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy holidays.